I'd like to review some of the resources we have on the band's practice page and give a quick demo showing how to use some of them. So the band's practice page can be found from our home page and hover over the band members tab and come down to practice resources. So the page, when it loads, there we go, is in two basic parts. The top part is basically a description of the different resources and features of the page. And then the lower part, which is not a half, but the vast majority, are the resources associated for the pieces we are currently practicing for our concerts. Right now, it is we're preparing for the spring 2025 concert season. So these are the resources that are available for the pieces for that particular concert series. The almost all the pieces have some sort of recording links to them. The professional recordings are usually from the publishers, so you can listen to, follow along, and play along with the pieces as the publisher intended them to be. Not every piece has recordings from publishers, so in those cases and others, I have links to other recordings by other bands, community bands such as ourselves. Um, in addition to these full performances, I've also added supplemental resources. These are things that are not the arrangement we have, but maybe provides the some uh, related information or related resources. As an example, with West Side Story, since it's a musical, I have highlighted all of the pieces that are featured in those selections, and I have links to the cast recordings, clips from the 1961 and 2021 movie, and some live performances. So the idea here is to experience a piece for which we may only have a few measures in our selections, but you can see the whole thing in its original context. I also have a relatively new feature called Hotspots. Right now, we only have hotspots for the Pirates of the Caribbean, and these are sections that maybe need a little more work as a band, and it gives some information about them. I'm going to focus right now on measure 136, that in the Pirates of the Caribbean. This is the section that changes the meter from six, or the count from 6/4 to 4/4 to 5/4, 4/4, etc. And the beat never changes, but it's a little tricky to um, follow it. Now, if you're just looking at your music, you may have a hard time experiencing the whole thing uh, as the band sounds just from your music alone. So the advantage of this is it takes you right to a band's performance starting at measure 136, so you can follow in your music and play along. And I'm going to do that, and I will not be talking over the band because we compete for the audio and it drowns me out. So let's click on measure 136, and that pops up this band, and I will pause here speaking while it continues for a So that gives you a sense of what it sounds like. Follow along in your music, but if it turns out it's a little too fast to handle, and maybe this becomes an issue with another piece that you're trying to master that you just can't play up to up tempo. There's a feature in YouTube which is really good to slow it down. So you can come over to settings, which is this little gear, click on that, and then there's a playback speed, and I'm going to go to 0.75. So this is going to slow it down to 3/4 of that previous speed. The other thing I'm going to do is uh, this is already queued up to the part where that starts. I don't have to move this bar around, and even if I do, I could if I wish to, but instead I'm going to hit the refresh button over here. Now this might vary from browser to browser, but I have a feeling all of them do it. Technically, it's a reload. When I do that, it takes me right back to where. And I hope you can sense that that is slower. If that's still too fast for you, you can go real slow and refresh. And I think that's too slow to be useful. But returning to 0.75, if listen to it, follow along in your music, play along, and pretty soon you'll probably be able to play it at 0.75. But you may not want to hop up to normal speed right off the bat. There's another option, is to come up this slider bar, and I'm going to go back up to the 0.75. If I inch it a little bit to the right, I can go to 0.8. So it's going to be a little faster. In fact, I would contend or argue that it's not really that much faster than the 0.75. And the advantage of that is it's going to be a little faster, but not super perceivable to you. So you will be able to play it a little faster and master at that speed. We can take it up another 5%. And again, you can probably master it there, and you can work your way up slowly back to normal speed once more. And if you want to make sure you can really master it, bump it up, and I took it straight to 125% of the normal speed for this particular organization. Let's see what that sounds like. If you can handle it at that speed, you can probably handle it at our speed, at normal speed, both in rehearsals and practice. So that shows you how we can use the settings to adjust the playback speed to make it faster and slower. So let's go back to here, these hotspots. And these are pre-programmed hotspots. We may add more of them. This again is new, a little bit of an experiment. But what if there's a place that's not that you're struggling with that is not listed in the hotspots? And as an example, I'm going to go with Greece because this is the first place I needed to work on something. And I'll let it go. And the part I needed to work with was the hand jive section with the trombones. And I'm not sure where that is. So let me hunt around. Okay, at that point, we're in Grease Lightning. And let me look a little further ahead. All right, now we're getting into a Beauty School Dropout. And I believe it's going to be around here. There we go. This is the beginning of hand jive. So I can create my own hotspot. You don't have to necessarily get one that we've queued up in the practice page. And let's assume this is where I always want to start. So all I have to do is make a hotspot by coming down to Share, click on that. And this is so you can share to social media. We're not going to do that, but I am going to use this little feature here that says create a link that starts at 3 minutes and 48 seconds into the piece, which is what we have here. I copy that link. I'm going to come up to a new tab. You can use a new one or the previous one, paste it in. And if you notice, it put this little t equals 128s. Sometimes it just says 228. Sometimes it has the s, sometimes it doesn't. It just means it's that many seconds into the piece. So I struggled with this when I was first rehearsing, so I slowed it down like I showed before, but I had to keep going back. Now that I have this in here with the URL, with the starting point, all I have to do is hit reload. And I'm back again. Let's assume I got this far. Want to practice it again, reload. So now I can go back to any place I want just by hitting a one button on the window rather than having to search around for it. If this is very useful, you could always grab this URL, store it in a document somewhere so you can reference it later without having to necessarily create a hotspot as you're using it, but it's pretty easy to create one as needed. So anyhow, those are the features that are currently in this to help you practice or listen to things, and everything has a description up above as well. And hopefully everybody finds this useful and helps with our practicing at home.